Woodrow Wilson once remarked that there is one thing that the American people always rise to and extend their hand to, and that is the truth of justice and of liberty and of peace. We have accepted that truth, and we are going to be led by it. And it's going to lead us, and through us, the world, out into pastures of quietness and peace, such as the world never dreamed of before. Many cynics, pessimists, and dare I say, closed warmongers have derided Wilson for his idealism, as is to be an idealist in a world full of injustice and violence is something wrong. So let me begin by confessing and counting myself wholly and enthusiastically in the Wilson idealist camp. Coming from a country that was almost wiped out of the face of the earth by a cruel and awful war, the tragic Triple Alliance War, contemporaneous to your own tragic civil war, not only in time, but in the hellishness, I can fully appreciate the godness in the Wilsonian view. As Erasmus of Rotterdam said, war is delightful only to those who have had no experience of it. Paraguay, having suffered war, can thus fully enlist itself in the truth of justice and of liberty and of peace. Hence, it would be no surprise to say that I greatly value the Wilson Center's tireless effort to promote democracy, human rights, economic development, peace, and environmental protection across our region. The Latin American program also plays an important role in building bridges between the United States and Latin America at a time when countries across the Americas must cooperate to address shared challenges. Isolation led to distrust, and distrust led to conflict. Today, we must communicate and work together more than ever. During my campaign, I met the Latin American Program Director during his visit to Asunción, and last year, at the start of my presidency, I had the chance to visit the Wilson Center to share my vision to Paraguay and highlight its value as a partner to the United States. I am convinced we are the most solid partner the U.S. has in this hemisphere. Since my visit, my foreign minister and the finance minister have both visited the Latin American program in Washington, further strengthening our ties. So let me say, on behalf of my country, that we owe a sincere and heartfelt gratitude for the Wilson Center's support and dedication to our region's progress and development. To conclude, let us not be shy, my friends, in promoting the cause of justice and of liberty and of peace. And let us boldly dream with Wilson of pastures of quietness and peace. I can think of no better vision for our world.
Good evening, buenas noches, dear friends of the Wilson Center's Latin America program and distinguished guests. On behalf of President Gabriel Boric and our dedicated diplomats here at the Chilean Ministry of Foreign Affairs, I wish to express my sincere appreciation and gratitude for the Wilson Center and its vital work and mission, which is now more important than ever. The Latin American program's long-standing commitment and decades of work needs support from all sectors, governments in the region, civil society, and responsible actors from the private sector and business community. Together, we must strengthen democratic governance and build greater confidence in our institutions. We cannot let disinformation to sow the seeds of mistrust within our democracies. The failure to deliver for our citizens impedes the essential task of forging a common path forward, one that fosters sustainable economic growth and development and a more equitable future for the generations to come. For me personally, it has been an honor to participate in the program's activities and events, including Chile's leadership in marine conservation and the High Seas Treaty, and other areas which are critical to our country, such as the sustainable mining for copper and lithium, the future of green hydrogen, and the promotion of renewable energy in collaboration with local communities and companies. Thank you for allowing me this time to share this brief message with you all. I also extend my warmest regards to those who are being honored today. President Ali, Attorney General Mendez, congratulations on this important and well-deserved recognition.
Good evening. It is a great honor to address you all at the 2024 Wilson Awards Gala to celebrate the outstanding work of its Latin America program. As a participative and non-partisan institution, the Wilson Center is a magnificent platform for fostering meaningful dialogue, shaping public policy, and deepening the region's integration with the United States. Costa Rica is proud to stand as a strategic and reliable ally of the United States of America. Our country, the oldest democracy in Latin America, has been a historic partner to the United States in the fight for freedom and the rule of law in our hemisphere. With the new administration in Washington, the Center can provide immense value to open new opportunities for an enduring alliance of like-minded governments and peoples to propel more trade and investment, as well as the values we all hold dear. In addition, many countries in the region can play a pivotal role in securing and rebalancing the supply chain, making U.S. companies more competitive and resilient in the global economy. Finally, I would like to congratulate Dr. Benjamin N. Giran, Director of the Latin American Program, for his visionary leadership, and extend my gratitude to the Wilson Center for the unwavering dedication to strengthening Latin American ties. Together, we will continue building a more integrated, resilient, and prosperous hemisphere for the benefit of all in this wonderful part of the world. Thank you very much. I wish you a great evening tonight.
Okay, now for real. I would like to invite our director of the Latin American program at the Wilson Center, Dr. Benjamin Giran, to introduce our last award of the evening.
Excellent. Before turning to our final awardee and our very special guest, President Irfaan Ali of Guyana, I do want to take a moment to thank everyone tonight for being here. This truly, from the bottom of my heart, has been an exceptional evening, and all because of your presence and your support. And again, not just tonight, but everything that you saw that we work on throughout the year, the impacts that we have in the region, the ability we have to make sure Latin America remains on the radar of policymakers and decision makers, and that we can contribute to public policy conversations in the region. It's 100% because of the partnerships we have with individuals like you, your institutions, with our exceptional advisory board, and many of the members that are here that enable us to have the effects that we try to have on environmental protection, the strengthening of democracies in the region, the building of stronger ties between the United States and Latin America, the strengthening of supply chains throughout the Western Hemisphere, the knowledge that's necessary in Washington for savvy decisions to be made related to the United States and Latin America. All of it, again, 100% of it, is because of the work that we can do with all of you. So thank you so much for being here and for all your help. And the small contributions we can make on our own without you are all because of the team that we have that works at the Wilson Center. Beatriz Garcia-Nice, who you've seen throughout the evening, Anders Biel, Facundo Robles, my colleagues Bryden and Bruna and Julia. So allow me to thank them as well. Which takes us to our final and very special awardee, President Ali. President Ali has been a great friend of the Wilson Center. We've worked together previously in an event in April in Washington. Earlier this evening, we put the president to work talking about many of the policy issues that relate to the U.S.'s special relationship with Guyana. Tonight, however, in this award, we focus very particularly on one special aspect of President Ali's agenda. President of Guyana since 2020, former Minister of Housing, who made extraordinary contributions to increasing access to housing in Guyana, has now been championing the newest low-carbon development strategy of his country. It's a strategy that resulted from 8 months of national consultations to build a consensus around environmental protection, the energy transition, and the preservation of the rainforest in Guyana that covers 85% of the national territory. A model not only for the country to follow and replicating the successes of an earlier low-carbon development strategy, this one looking forward to 2030, but truly a model for all of the Amazonian countries and for the preservation of natural spaces throughout Latin America and the world. It's designed to promote low-carbon technologies throughout the country, to invest in infrastructure to be resilient to climate change, particularly in the capital of Guyana, heavily impacted by sea level rise, but also to preserve the capacity of the rainforests in Guyana to make contributions to the global fight against climate change. And a reminder that countries in Latin America, and particularly Amazonian countries like Guyana, have an outsized role to play in this global effort to address the climate challenges that we face and the intensifying impacts those challenges are having throughout this region. Beatrice mentioned, for example, the security challenges in Ecuador, but I see a table of Ecuadorians that know that the droughts related to climate change have had enormous impacts on the energy system. We saw the environmental minister of Brazil, who could have told you about the wildfires in Brazil, the state of the Amazon River, and other increasingly intense impacts. It's one of the reasons we've launched tonight the Lovejoy Award, to be able to celebrate the champions of environmental conservation. But it's those countries that are making the decision on behalf of humanity to protect the rainforest that we truly want to recognize right now with this special award. We were thrilled to work with you in the past, in April, as I mentioned earlier in Washington. We plan to work with you very much in the future and hope you'll be in your position for many years to come. But please join me in thanking and honoring President Ali for the extraordinary work that he's done. Before you hear from President Ali, we're going to play a brief video from the government of Guyana introducing some of this important work, and so you can see for yourselves the extraordinary conservation areas that the President has championed, and then we'll hear from him yourself.
It is now our honor to welcome to the stage for his remarks our awardee of tonight, one of our awardees of tonight, President Ali of Guyana. Please join me.
Thank you very much. Thank you very kindly. You guys are applauding as if the Heats just won another game. Let me acknowledge all the distinguished ladies and gentlemen in this beautiful room, Admiral Halsey, and all the ambassadors. I want to point out the U.S. Ambassador to Guyana, Nicole, the former ambassador, Sarah. We just happen to get the best ambassadors in our country. Let me say, I noticed in the video a few moments ago, there was no song. That is just for you to enjoy silence with nature. I know in these big cities you're accustomed to a lot of noise, but we wanted you to enjoy some silence with nature. And I must say that I'm also in a very complex position. Normally, people do not want to speak during dinner, before dinner, because all you're doing is concentrating on dinner, but I've never been placed in a position to speak after dinner. But I guess you're filled, so we'll have some good time together here. First of all, allow me to thank the Wilson Center for the tremendous work that they're doing in promoting not only democracy and rule of law, but promoting justice, advancing freedom, and working in the public policy environment to ensure that we build stable, strong economies, providing excellent policy guidelines and policy advice to support sound decision-making in our hemisphere. Yes, we do have a lot of challenges in our region, but with organizations like the Wilson Center that concentrate its work around solution, around public policy in a bipartisan way, I think that will help us to find the basis to make better decisions at the national level, regional level, and of course, on the global stage. I want to congratulate also the Lovejoy family for that wonderful award that you're launching. And I want to be the first to invite you to Guyana. Next year, we are launching for the first time the Global Biodiversity Summit. We're working now with President Duque, former President Duque of Colombia, on the establishment of the Global Biodiversity Alliance. As you know, we live in a region, and I'm from a country where we have the highest biodiversity density in the world. We live in a world also in which we have lost more than 60% of our biodiversity. We have managed to keep our biodiversity intact, and that is remarkable. However, as much as we have been able to keep this intact, as well as the forests, we also recognize the fact that there must be an economic model to support the biodiversity and the standing forests that we're keeping alive. And that economic model must be able to put a value on these important global assets, and a proper pricing mechanism and market mechanism must be developed to value these assets. Otherwise, we will not be doing this in a sustainable way, and we still live in a world where governments and leaders must be able to provide for the people we serve. We must be able to build infrastructure. In our case in Guyana, we have to raise resources to deal with our infrastructure challenges. A coastal plain that is below sea level, that accounts for more than 80% of the population. So countries like ours are now leading the way in ensuring not only the advocacy is one part of the equation, but ensuring that there's a fair mechanism to value nature-based and environmental products. And that is what we are championing. If I may just briefly outline to you what the LCDS represent and what we are hoping to achieve through the LCDS. As you know, LCDS 2030 was launched following a national consultation, and it was an evolution and expansion of Guyana's original LCDS in 2009, which was the first low-carbon development strategy from any developing country in the world. 15 years after the launch of Guyana's original low-carbon development strategy, LCDS 2030 re-energized Guyana's commitment to sustainable development. It integrates economic growth with environmental preservation, while setting out policy-based approaches to fossil fuel use and climate finance. In particular, it focuses on Guyana's vision to create a global model for recognizing the essential role of tropical forests in the fight against climate change and biodiversity conservation. Since its finalization in July 2022, after a 7-month national consultation, notable progress has been made on LCDS 2030 priorities. Guyana's global model for payment for forest climate service achieved several world firsts in just 2 years. Building from the 2009 Guyana-Norway Agreement, which saw Guyana earning US $227 million for the period 2009 to 2015, in 2022, Guyana was issued with the world's first jurisdictional carbon credit under the R3 standard, establishing credits to access voluntary and compliance markets. The country securing the largest carbon credit sale to ever take place in the world, amounting to US $750 million in sales in the voluntary carbon market, and this was with Hess Corporation, a US company. As of September 2024, US $237.5 million of this has been received, and 100% is being invested in community, regional, and national LCDS priorities. Under this program, a guaranteed 15% is transferred directly to the indigenous people of the country. 15% of all the earnings. Further, indigenous communities have a choice to opt in to the program, and that choice is exercised by the communities themselves. A further global milestone was reached in mid-2024 when Guyana's credits became the first in the world to be eligible for Phase 1 of the United Nations Emissions Reduction Program for the aviation sector, CORSIA. This is now paving the way for new sales for the aviation industry. First, and this is a high-value industry. Guyana's sustainable forestry practices continue to be enhanced. Timber and timber products from Guyana will soon bear the prestigious PEFC international label and trademarks, while Guyana was the first country in the Amazon region to sign a voluntary partnership agreement under the European Union's FLEGT initiative. This agreement is expected to enhance market access to Guyanese timber and timber products in Europe and beyond. Work to modernize Guyana's mining industry advanced with the start of a mineral mapping project, one of the first of its kind in the world, where artificial intelligence and traditional techniques will be used to create highly detailed maps for mineral exploration. This will allow miners to continue their business sustainably and open up possibilities for the exploration of critical minerals, including lithium, which is becoming increasingly important to the global economy. Guyana's domestic energy transition continues to be one of the most ambitious in the world. By 2030, the country's energy use is projected to increase 5-fold, yet greenhouse gas emissions will stay flat or reduce, while electricity costs for citizens and businesses will decrease. The foundational elements to make this happen are well advanced. The gas-to-shore energy project, which will soon see national electricity end users receiving a 50% reduction in tariffs. Since 2020, solar energy installation has increased by 173%, while we're investing in other off-grid hydro projects to ensure that communities that are not on the grid are also supplied with renewable power. We are also launching the Biodiversity Alliance. We have launched the Biodiversity Alliance, and next year you will see Guyana hosting the first Biodiversity Summit with Concordia, and I'm sure the Wilson Center would not mind being a partner in that summit. So today, I want to say that we are in a very complex global environment, one in which we have to work on many different areas, all of which constitute the security of the world, whether it's climate security, food security, or energy security. We have to find the right balance. The right balance requires everyone to be in the room. We cannot lock out petroleum companies and petroleum producers from the room if we are to achieve a balanced approach to growth and development. In our opinion, all of us must be involved in the conversation to find sustainable solutions, to find resources to invest in research and development so that we can have better technology, greener technology, we can have more efficient system, all of which will contribute to the energy security of the world. You know, in this room, for example, many people will say, let us go solar. And when we go solar, we have the question of where is the batteries coming from? And if 70% of the battery requirement comes from one market, we have to decide whether we want to rely on one market that produces 70% of the batteries. And these are questions that we cannot avoid. These are questions that we ignore. We cannot avoid these questions, but we're ignoring these questions when we talk about a just transition and what constitutes a just transition. A just transition must also be able to deliver reliable energy to every citizen of the world. We still have many countries, many populations that are energy starved. Energy poverty is a real thing, and the energy gap within continents and within country is expanding. So we have to find the right balance, and we are all for finding the right balance. That is why I believe the Wilson Center is important in this dialogue. We cannot allow emotions to drive our actions. We cannot allow the science alone to drive action. There must be a match between economy, science, ecology, and all of it to ensure sustainability and resilience. And that is the match that we have to get. And to do this, we have to get all the players around the table, not separate tables. We can't win by discussing this on separate tables. We have to be able to find common ground on one table to have sustainable solutions. That is our humble view on this matter. On biodiversity protection and water management, significant work has been undertaken to enable the doubling of Guyana's protected area system in 2025. Our mission is to double our protected areas by 2025. Just to understand scale, the size of our forest is the size of England and Scotland combined. It stores 19.5 gigatons of carbon. It has the lowest deforestation rate in the world. That is the product we're talking about. And just understand the type of biodiversity that is kept in this environment. So, the establishment of the International Center for Biodiversity Protection and Restoration of Critical Ecosystem, expansion of Guyana's offering for nature-based solutions beyond carbon, and advancing Guyana's progress towards the global target of conserving at least 30% of the planet's lands and ocean by 2030. That is a commitment the globe made. Protecting 30% of our lands and ocean, which include forests. Guyana is not only committing to this, we have a clear strategy through which we will realize this and maybe surpass this. The next phase of technical work on sustainable urban development, water management, and biodiversity conservation will be complete in early 2025 and will pave the way for further stakeholder engagement and consultation. The LCDS Multi-Stakeholder Steering Committee will continue to have responsibility for oversight of LCDS 2030 development and implementation. I give you some amount of details because when you look at the low carbon development strategy, I don't want you for a moment to believe it's an environmental strategy or it's a climate strategy. I think sometimes when we narrow these strategies just to the environment and climate, it then becomes very difficult to integrate it into the development strategy. So our development strategy is the LCDS 2030, because the LCDS 2030 speak about how we will utilize these natural assets for economic expansion, economic inclusion, community participation, and bringing prosperity to the people. So it's an integrated plan that seeks to use our natural asset to sustain development and expand the economy. So, in conclusion, I am profoundly honored to accept the 2024 Woodrow Wilson Award for Public Service. I want to thank the center. I want to thank the team in Guyana, a fantastic team. And I want to thank all those who in this room and around the world are working in the forests, on forest credits, carbon credits, biodiversity, working on conservation, but more importantly, everyone who are aligned with the objective of building our economies in a sustainable way, in a way that will ensure resilience, but in a way also that will grow prosperity for our people. And that is what is important. We can have the best strategy, but if that strategy does not bring prosperity or improve the welfare and well-being of people, unfortunately, we will be marked in 4 years or 5 years. And that's the reality. Sometimes people blame politicians and the political environment. But the political environment is a harsh environment. It's an environment in which you must bring results, you must advance the lives of people, you must improve the prosperity of the country, and at the same time, you must do so in a global environment where certain standards must be met. So, I am very pleased that in the words of President Wilson, he once declared, and I quote, "There is no higher religion than human service. To work for the common good is the greatest creed." End of quote. So let us all continue to work in service of humanity, in building a just global system, in building a system in which peace, justice, democracy, and the rule of law will prevail and must prevail above everything else. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Thank you, President Ali, for those inspiring words. And we have come to the final time of our evening. This is the end of our program, but not the end of the fun. We still have dessert. We still have an open bar. We invite you to please stay and mingle. And we want to thank everybody for your presence tonight. Thank you very much. Enjoy.